So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Math, and in this video we'll be going over proportion using the unitary method. Now the unitary method is where in proportion you find the amount as 1 before multiplying to the required amount. So this order of making which variable equal to 1 and what to divide and multiply really does depend on the question. So I'm sure that during your maths you have seen questions very similar to the one that we're about to go through. So here it says that Jim walks 3 miles in 51 minutes. How long does it take for him to walk 2 miles? Now for this, if I just set up this situation, now we'll just ignore the fact that Jim, that's just there, and we'll look at the distance and we've got time, and this is the time that we're working with. So if I just write down miles and we've got time. Now in terms of the information that I know that it takes, in 3 miles it takes 51 minutes. So here, and I've got to know how long it takes to get when I'm walking 2 miles. So here what you want to try and do here is to think to yourself, well, how can I get from 3 to 2? Well, how do I get from 3 to 2? Well, I divide by 3 and I multiply by 2, because I divide by 3 so I get 1, and then I multiply 2 to get to 2. So then if I do the same for 51, so here I'm going to divide 51 by 3 and then multiply by 2, I should get my time amount. So here it's going to be 51 divided by 3, which is 17, and then 17 times 2 gives me 34. So the answer then is 34 minutes. Now if we apply the same to this next question, it says in 7 hours Kulsum can earn £52.50. How much can she earn in 4 hours? So here again we've got time and we've got pay. So from the information that we've been given, we know in 7 hours we get £52.50, and we want to know how much she gets paid in 4 hours. So here, to try and turn 7 into 4, we divide by 7 to turn it into 1, and then we multiply that by 4 to get 4. So what I'm going to do then here is exactly the same. I'm going to divide by 7 and then multiply by 4, so that the answer is going to be 52.50 divided by 7, and if I type that into my calculator I get, and again some of these questions might be calculated, some might not be, so you might have to do some division, you may have to do some multiplying, along multiplying. So £7.50 and then 750 multiplied by 4 gives me an answer of £30. Then moving on to question 3, it says that £2.20 can be exchanged for 242 grams of nachos. How much could you get for £4.25? So here, let's look at the cost, and then we've got the weight. So here, from the information that we know, that this is £2.20 and the weight is 242 grams, and we want to get to £4.25. So then what we need to do here, to get from there to there, to get 2.2 down to 1, we divide by 2.2 and then we multiply by 4.25. So here I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to do 242 divided by 2.2, and again you can work it out or you can just do it straight in one go. So 2.2, that gives me 110, and then we multiply that by 4.25, so 110 multiplied by 4.25, and that gives me an answer of 467.5 grams. So that's the answer for part A. Then for part B, if we adopt the similar thing, so again here I can sort the question out again. So let's look at the cost, and we've got the weight. So here again I've got £2.20 and the weight is 242 grams. So here I've got 1.8 kilograms. Now 1.8 kilograms is 1,800 grams. So you want to make sure the units are the same. So then from here to here, how do I get from 242 to 1800? Well, I divide by 242 and then I multiply by 1800. So for this I need to do exactly the same. So I divide by 242 and then multiply by 1800. So here I've got 2.2 divided by 242, which is not going to give you a nice number, but on the calculator we then multiply that by 1800. So 2.2 divided by 242 times by 1800, and we get an answer of 16.3636, and it's recurring. So because we're dealing with money, it's going to be £16.36. Now if you look at question 4, this one is going to be slightly different. Hopefully you can spot where it's going to be different. So if we look at the question, it says 10 workers are needed to complete the job in 6 days. How many more workers are needed to complete the job in 4 days? Now if we use the method that we used for the previous ones, then what we find is we've got the number of workers and we've got the number of days. Now reading the question, we want this job to be completed quicker, so then you're going to need more workers to do that. So here we're going to be expecting an answer that's bigger than 10. However, if we look at adopting the same method as we did before, so here we've got from 10 to 6, and the number I then want is 4 days, and I need to work out how many workers there are. Now the difference between this question and the previous 3 questions is that we were always starting with smaller amounts and we were going to bigger amounts, and that's what we call direct proportion. Now when we're going from a big number to a small number, the method doesn't work in the same way, and the reason for that is if I show you now. So here, to get from 6 to 4, I would divide by 6 and multiply by 4. Now if I do the same with 10, I do 10 divided by 6 multiplied by 4, and what then happens is 10 divided by 6 multiplied by 4 gives me an answer of 6.6 recurring. So roughly that's around about 7. Now that doesn't actually make any sense, because with less workers it's going to take longer, not quicker. So for this method is not the right way. Now when we're dealing with indirect proportion, the method needs to be reversed. So here what we need to do for indirect proportion, or these particular questions, is to find the total time for one worker. Now for this, if we need 10 people are working 6 days, then 10 times 6 is going to be 60 days for one person, because that one person is going to have to do 10 people's job, and if their jobs take 6 days to do 10 people's job, it's going to take 60. So this is a total of 60 days to complete per worker. Now we know that we've got 4 days, so then all we then need to do is do 60 divided by 4, which gives me an answer of 15. So therefore we're going to need 15 workers. So answering the question, how many more do we need? So we will need 5 more workers. So always look out for those indirect and direct proportion questions. So direct is when you're going from smaller to bigger, and again you're trying to work out which is 1. And if that doesn't work, and it's really important that you understand what your answers should look like. Should you be expecting with a bigger answer or a smaller answer? And that will help you determine about which order you multiply and which ones you divide by first. And with direct, you're dividing and then multiplying. With indirect, you're multiplying and then dividing. But like I said, hopefully through trial and error, if you can't get it first time round, hopefully you will do by seeing the wrong answer and then opting for the correct one. And so now let's have a look at this similar question. So if it takes 5 decorators 6 hours to paint a room, how long will it take to paint the room with 4 decorators? So again, let's have a look at writing this out. So let me just get difficult pen. So here we've got the decorators, and we've got time. So here we've got 5 decorators and it takes 6 hours. So here, to complete the job for one person, it's going to be 5 times 6, and so that there is 30 hours. So this whole job is 30 hours. So from this, what we then need to do, if we've got 4 decorators, then that's going to be 30 divided by 4, which gives us an answer of 7.5 hours, which again makes sense, because if you've got less decorators, the job will take a little bit longer. Then moving on to question B, it says how many decorators would be needed to complete the job in under 2 hours? So here again, we know that the completed job is 60 hours, so through 30 hours. So it's 30 hours, which is the total for one person. And so for 2 hours, then we do 30 divided by 2, so it's going to equal 15. So I'm going to need 15 decorators to complete the job in 2 hours.